There's been a blue wave around the world, so today we're talking about the elections in Pennsylvania, California, Virginia, New Jersey, New York City, and even the Netherlands that have caused so much of a blue wave. Let's get into all that in today's Fireside Chat.
Welcome to Fireside Chats with Michael and Matt.
Hi everyone, I'm Professor Pride, and this is
Michael Martin,
my beautiful husband, and this is our first episode of Fireside Chats. So if you're not familiar, Fireside Chats was something that Franklin D. Roosevelt, FDR, our arguably greatest president of all time.
Not arguably.
Definitely greatest president of all time.
He's better than Lincoln.
Used to do, was it weekly that he did the Fireside Chats, or was it monthly, or was it daily?
I actually don't know. That's a good question. We should probably look that up.
But we'll do an episode on Franklin D. Roosevelt, hopefully next time on the show, because it really is important that we learn more about him and everything he stood for, everything he did for our country. But this first episode, we wanted to talk about the recent election because it was huge for Democrats and for democracy across the country. So let's first get into that. What do you want to talk about first?
How about the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court retention vote?
That was a pretty big one.
Was.
So what was that vote all about?
So it basically comes down to the 2028 election. There was a big issue. There's obviously going to be challenges in the 2028 election because, of course, Republicans are going to do their nonsense like they always do.
Yeah.
And we needed to make sure that we had liberal justices in there that were going to make sure that the elections were fair and not, just some nonsense.
Yeah, it wasn't about being like a liberal judge, because I think sometimes these judges are painted in the wrong light of like, oh, you're going to be right wing or you're going to be left wing. Like a liberal judge in the aspect of judges is just, we want democracy, we want fairness, we want to stick to the law. There's ones that are from the Heritage Foundation that the Republicans wanted to put in those seats in 2027 that were already basically being talked about, and those judges were going to strip rights away from average Americans to vote. So here's how it broke down. The court of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, it's a major battleground state in Pennsylvania. As we know, Trump won it in 2024, right? Somehow. And, it basically whoever wins Pennsylvania normally, I'm going to say, wins the election in the Electoral College, whatever effed up system that is. But we have a state Supreme Court that's made up of 7 judges, so you need a 4 majority in that court. That court typically decides on the voting rights of whatever election are coming up, any challenges to ballots or something like that, or a measure on the ballot. They're the court that actually oversees that whole process.
Or debacle.
Or debacle. That's quite fair, actually, normally. Mm-hmm. But right now, it currently has 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans on the court, so they already have what's called a supermajority. And one of those judges, one of those 5, is up for election in 2027 anyway. They're just getting too old. They're retiring. They're forced to retire. You're not that old. I'm like, you still have like 20 good years left.
Oh, God, don't remind me. Oh. I look forward to retirement, let me just say. Anyway,
I don't.
Sorry.
I mean...
You don't look forward to retirement?
It'd be nice to just not do anything. But I'll probably still be making videos.
See, I missed my calling in life as being a wealthy person.
I mean...
Wearing a yacht club t-shirt?
I was going to say, I'm like, kind of ironic for the yacht club guy. Like, and...
Independently wealthy. Like Elon Musk. I don't need to be that wealthy.
Well, no, Elon's not happy.
Yeah, because then he'd be evil at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be slightly evil. Not... not the kind that like burns down an orphanage on New Year's Eve or something, but maybe like...
Did Elon do that? Was that a thing that I missed?
I mean, not that we know of, but we can't prove that he didn't either.
So...
Elon, if you're watching this, I apologize.
He's not watching our show.
Look, you never know. You never know. The guy's crazy, allegedly.
Whatever. So anyway, one of those people is forced to retire because their term expires in 2027. So we would have to vote for one no matter what for the 2028 term. But and they would be in place for the 2028 election. But the other two were still like up in arms of like no one really knows. So in order to save money in 2027, because the government is so good at saving money, we had another election of the very same thing in 2025, where those two judges had to be retained. And basically, if you voted yes, those judges were retained. There's no need for the election in 2027. If you voted no, there would be another election in 2027 to replace them, because, again, we're saving money. The government's so good at that. So how it broke down was, in the end, 61.7% of our state in Pennsylvania voted in favor, voted yes, 2.2 million people, and 38.3% voted no for that measure. So
we believe that was what is commonly referred to as Pennsyltucky. That's where those voters came from.
Oh, you mean between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh?
Right.
Okay.
Although I don't think that's fair to Kentucky, because honestly, they're not that bad anymore either.
Well, they turned a little liberal.
They did. Well, I wouldn't go liberal, but
they turned more liberal than they used to be.
They're less about starving children and more about starving adults.
Speaking about starving children, the advertising cost for this.
What? That's a terrible segue. My God.
There's a segue in here. The advertising costs for this specific election, Democrats spent $13.7 million and Republicans spent $2.8 million. So over about like $16 million there were spent just on this one vote alone, which is an awful lot of money. Could have fed a lot of people. That's basically what I say about every election is, if it went to homeless people or, temporarily unhoused people and children, it'd be a lot better. But, here we are. Now,
I mean, that's the problem with America, in a nutshell. We have the money to do things. We just don't spend them on the appropriate things.
Yeah, we're like, hey, why not advertise our politicians more? Because that's what we should do.
Or let's send $40 billion to Argentina to prop up a dictator.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, I don't know much about that deal. What happened with the Argentina deal? Do you know?
So all I know is that the leader of Argentina, I do not remember his name right now, but I do remember that he is viewed by many of his people to be a dictator, very similar to Trump. He is referred to as the Trump of Argentina, and Trump just decided to send him $40 billion to help prop up their economy, which is apparently in free fall right now. And it kind of screwed a lot of the American soybean farmers because Argentina is a big soybean producer.
Okay.
So they're not happy right now.
Wasn't Argentina where a lot of Nazis went, during the end of World War II?
There's a lot of people think that's where Hitler went too.
Oh, that's fun. And
that's a different story. So we'll talk about that later on. But
conspiracy theories are a different podcast.
Look, it's not a conspiracy theory if J. Edgar Hoover thought that it was true. They didn't stop looking for Hitler until the 70s. So,
well, I mean, he was the main guy.
I mean, look, if you had Hitler's body, would you not parade that up and down the streets of Berlin?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Anyway, so about the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court retention.
Nazis to Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Let's go back.
That's how we do things around here.
So on Election Day, what surprised me was a very undercover move by the Republicans for if you're familiar, you probably are, because a lot of countries had these protests for No Kings in America protest. So they actually, I did check, they trademarked the logo for No Kings, right?
What? Why was that not trademarked already?
It was, that's what I mean. I checked it when they started this whole thing, they trademarked the logo for No Kings, you know.
The No Kings people did. I
Yeah.
thought you meant the sign people did.
No.
Okay.
No, they trademarked it, and that way, you know, it's protected, but they're very free with it, right? So, like, if you're protesting, you can use it. So they designed this logo to...
I was thirsty. Come on, man.
You're always thirsty.
Look, I have worked very hard today. I'm a little tired, and I just want to be able to take a drink when I want. I don't see what the problem is. It's not like I'm drinking out of a Coke container.
And I'm always a little thirsty, too, but not in the same way.
We are willing to accept sponsorships from Coke. Or even the lesser drink, Pepsi.
We'll get them to sponsor us. So they designed this logo to make it easy for people to quickly make it on a sign, purposefully made it very basic. And all of a sudden on election day, when we went to the polls at 7 a.m., right on the dot, like trying to get there first, first off, the poll worker was like, yeah, all the machines are currently malfunctioning. And I'm like, so either A, you didn't set them up yet and you just feel lazy, or B, you're trying to, something happened, you know, some malfunction happened with another rig system. So
I actually found out about what happened there. So apparently they have some sort of like thing that they put into the machine that loads the ballot, and they apparently had the one from 2024.
Oh.
So we would have been voting for president again.
If only.
Oh, if only. If only.
You know, what's so weird about that is, like, I've heard that happened a lot of places, not just where we live, but it's so weird to me that you have, like, an entire year, a full-time job, a whole office of people, and you still can't get that one day right, you know? Like, yeah, it's baffling to me. Of, like, if that's your only job, how do you mess it up so often, you know? But
you know, I used to deliver the judge of election boxes, the boxes that they have so that they could have like the paper forms and stuff. They used to check, you know, like they would use like actual paper forms to check. Not too long ago either. And they would just look up your name and stuff. So I would have to deliver those boxes, and they would have things like pencils in them, and for some reason, because apparently you can't afford your own. But anyway, the reason why I ended up getting the job was because another person was doing the job, and he was apparently just tossing them in bushes, and he was like, "Oh, you're not home. Here you go. Enjoy fishing it out of your bush."
Okay. Well, I mean,
and I don't mean that in a pervy way. I mean that in an actual bush way.
Yeah. No, I figured. Yeah. Anyway, so we went to our polling place, and there was a sign outside for "No Kings, No Retention" with the trademarked logo. It was professionally made, and hopefully I can find a picture to actually show you guys what these look like. We should have really taken one.
We should have.
Then we came home, and I looked up with the actual No Kings protesters. They had a report line, so I reported that this happened, and they responded immediately on Facebook and said, "Hey, this was not us. This is a trademark logo. You know, we could sue for it, but it's just a matter of it's too late in the game to do that." This was kept under wraps very, very well. Not even the local, like, county places had these signs. These were like state level signs that were kept in Harrisburg and driven around at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ready. No one knew this was coming, and it was meant to confuse voters in Democratic areas to vote no to a measure that they should have voted yes for.
Didn't work.
Luckily, it did not work, and luckily enough people knew going in, hey, we have to vote yes already.
This is what you get for going cheap, Republicans. If you're going to beat us, you got to spend at least $10 million. At least. Come on.
I mean, I'm surprised because we didn't see that many signs in the rural areas when we drive around for, you know, vote yes. We saw a lot of vote no signs, so I can only imagine where that $13.7 million went, because it didn't go to rural areas at all. They were just basically giving up on certain districts, you know? But
I mean, I get it.
But I will say,
certain areas you're just not going to win, you know?
More people voted, apparently, in Philadelphia this year for the actual state Supreme Court retention than they voted in 2024.
Thank you, Philadelphia.
So that really, because this was purely populace, like popular vote. So it was kind of good to see a bunch of people show up. Now, why those people didn't show up in 2024 when it was much more important, it annoys me. But
Yeah, we didn't have to be dealing with this.
yeah, we would be like, oh, good, Trump's gone, he's not coming back, But speaking of Trump, let's go across the country now to California, where another major vote happened on something called Prop 50. Now, can you explain where did this came about?
So it came about because Trump decided that he was going to contact the governor of Texas,
Greg Abbott.
Greg Abbott, Hot Wheels, and okay, look, I was not the one that started that nickname, but I enjoy it.
Did Trump start it? I can see him making fun of his own.
Was it Gavin Newsom?
Oh, okay.
It might have been.
Anyway.
But basically Trump called him up and said, look, I deserve 5 extra seats in Texas. And Greg Abbott was just like, yes, master, I'll do that. I'll do that immediately. And he redistricted and basically gave Republicans an additional 5 seats. So Gavin Newsom was like, oh no, this is not going to happen. And he decided that he was going to do the same thing. Prop 50 was essentially to make it so that the new maps would be approved, and it would give Democrats an additional 5 seats. So bye-bye, Darrell Issa.
I mean, it wouldn't be immediate, right? So, like...
Electorally, I don't mean that as a threat, just in case anybody's
watching. First off,
watching.
want to clarify, we're not making fun of all disabled people, just Greg Abbott.
Yeah, just Greg Abbott.
He's a terrible person. We're not coming after any disabilities, like, don't hound me. Please don't cancel me on the first episode.
Yeah, cancel me. I'm, that's some good Coke. Coke Zero.
Can't wait to clip that out.
Coke Zero because I'm watching my figure. Anyway.
No, I mean, you said, oh, that's good Coke. Can't wait till that gets clipped out. So normally these lines for districts get redrawn every 10 years right after the census. Mm-hmm. And basically it reflects how the state is currently and updates it. But it wouldn't go into effect immediately, right? So, like, the new seats in Texas aren't going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be there. Well, I mean, Congress is just shut down, so it's not going to be there tomorrow no matter what. But they're going to be there in 2026 when they get voted in. This was just the redistricting of the lines. Again, this is something that the state Supreme Court should have stopped, and that's why it was important in Pennsylvania too. But then in California, they're like, hey, why don't we just do the same thing to counter those seats and redo it? Where, really, have you seen the new map yet for California?
I have not, but I imagine it looks like some sort of Rorschach test.
Okay, so, like, the Texas one, the redistricting map, is, like, there's one area where all the lines converge, and it, like, has some, like, houses over here, and then the whole area is surrounded by the other district, and it goes crazy.
Yeah.
The way that they're trying to redistrict just for based on who you're voting for typically, which just tells you how much data that Palantir might genuinely have. Like, that's a scary thought in my mind. But the advertising costs for this one as of October 15th, 2025, which was almost like a half a month before the election. A lot of the money in elections goes in during the last half of the month of October. I used to work for elections and be like a videographer for different campaigns. Mm-hmm. That last like 2-3 weeks was always the craziest, where they're throwing millions of dollars every direction. So $200 million was spent before October 15th for that alone, which is a crazy number even in a state like California.
And they couldn't send $1 million our way?
I like how that's your first thought, not like, oh, hey, starving children.
Okay, look. We're not starving, obviously, but we could definitely use $1 million.
That's true. And if someone out there would like to be a donor or a sponsor for $1 million, we're looking for sponsors for the show. No, not Coke. And you're like, oh, the inferior Pepsi.
Well, look, I mean, I'm already geared up to talk crap about Pepsi, so Coke.
Yeah, but you also want Pepsi to sponsor us.
Well, look, if they pay enough, they will have to pay more than Coke.
Oh,
but if they pay
why?
enough, I'm willing to talk crap about Pepsi or Coke.
Yeah. It's the way if Pepsi pays, you're going to talk crap about Pepsi. That's a shitty deal for Pepsi.
It really is, yeah. Yeah, they...
And any press is good press, unless it's with Michael. I
I have favorites. I don't know what to tell you.
I often wondered why we weren't being sponsored by Pepsi, and
Now you know.
now I know. So, anyway, moving on. Let's move to Virginia. Virginia was a big surprise. I know Mike Johnson, I don't know if you heard about this, said that it wasn't a surprise that Virginia voted blue. Did you hear that yet?
No, so he actually knows something? I always thought he just never knows about anything. Weird. He's like the one Speaker of the House that doesn't know anything about anything.
Yeah. It's so fun to see Marjorie Taylor Greene go after him.
Oh, I enjoy that.
This is like the best time to be alive.
Well,
because we used to make fun of MTG on the show all the time. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so, because she was bat crap crazy. And
still might be.
I don't know. Like, there were representatives who were saying, like, behind the scenes when the cameras were off, she was sane. Like, there are multiple people who said in backroom meetings that she was completely fine, not going off the handle when the cameras were off, which is not the way it should be. You know, you think you'd be better for the cameras, but she wasn't. And now to find out that she's like, she went for senator, and then Trump told her no, that it's not the right time, and told her that he's going to run someone against her if she ran. And now she's coming hard for him for the Epstein list. And she said once the House reopens, day one, she's going to read the Epstein list.
I hope she does. I hope she does.
I mean, if you're not familiar, on the House and Senate floors, they have immunity of whatever they say. They cannot be charged with, or defamation or anything like that. So it's the reason why they were able to get away with so much in the House normally, in those committees. But it'd be amazing if she came back and she's just like, here's the Epstein list with Trump, you know? But
I wish I could be in the House, so I could just say whatever kind of crazy stuff I want to say.
Like, have no consequences.
No consequences whatsoever.
But
I mean, other than possibly getting punched in the mouth by another representative.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened, but
I fight back.
But no, anyway, so like Mike Johnson was saying that, oh, this was completely foreseen that blue states were going to vote blue. Virginia wasn't a blue state. It was very much a purple state for a long time. It's been back and forth. And it voted for Abigail Spanberger. Is that how you pronounce that name?
Yeah.
57.2% in favor of her, 1.9 million people, and 42% voted for Winsome Earl Sears. Would you like to tell the world about Winsome Earl Sears?
So, she's a black woman, and elderly, and she says that that it's okay to discriminate against gay people because it's not discrimination to her.
Yeah, no, it's more specifically, it's not discrimination to discriminate.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
She had to vote on something, and she said that denying marriage licenses to same-sex couples or firing someone for being gay was, quote, not discrimination, which is a weird thing to hear from anyone. Like, even the like Republicans are like, yeah, we love discrimination, you know? Like, at least admit that you like it if you do it. But for her, it was like, that's not what that is. And for a black woman saying that, I
Yeah.
think that really dug the grave for a lot of...
You would think that, people who have suffered, so much under America's history,
Especially in her generation. She was up there, too.
yeah, I mean, she was around for the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
She I believe she would have been young, but she was probably, maybe
She
in
could
her
have seen it
20s.
happen, yeah.
Yeah, and you would think that somebody that had seen that happen, that they wouldn't be so quick to just say, yeah, it's fine, just go after other people, because once they get done with the other people, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
And I do wish that more people would realize that.
I mean, that's exactly what happened with, like, Nazis and stuff. Again, history repeats. We were almost going to call our podcast History Repeats Itself, because it's just amazing how many times we've seen the same things over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But with Abigail, I will say the good part for her is she's... Did you hear anything about her being a former CIA agent?
No, but would they admit to that?
I think you're allowed once you're out of the CIA.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, but...
I'd be like, no, I was a florist the entire time. I was not in Cuba. I had nothing to do with the Soviet Union. No, I was never there.
She did vote in favor of the Equality Act in 2019 and Respect for Marriage Act in 2022. So...
Could you imagine this face in Cuba?
I can imagine that face anywhere.
I feel like I would get. They would realize that I was a spy pretty quickly.
Yeah, okay, I just thought about what Cubans look like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Anyway, I didn't get that joke at first.
Especially wearing this shirt, yacht club.
Yeah, they don't have many yachts down in Cuba, except for the
They have
really
fishing
rich-
boats.
And people go missing on them all the time.
Do they?
It's Cuba. It's like a... Anyway, my Cuban fans are going to be like, there's not that much crime down here and murders.
I mean, there might not be. You don't know.
I don't...
I've never been to
All
Cuba. I don't know.
Is from TV shows that portray it. So that's probably not accurate. But what was really cool about Virginia was every county in the state shifted blue a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, oh, they all voted blue, but they shifted blue from the 2024 election.
So even in the red counties, they didn't win by as large of a margin as they did in previous. So that says to me Democrats are mad.
Yeah. And I think Republicans are mad too.
I think, yeah, there are some non-MAGA Republicans that are probably just looking at this going, what the hell is happening?
I mean, if you think about Virginia, we were down there a couple times. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily like far, like it's a, what is it, the state of love or whatever they say. What is the saying for Virginia?
Virginia's for lovers, I think.
For lovers, yeah. Like, and they have a lot of industry down there that would be hurt by Trump. So I can see even MAGA Republicans not liking, like, they voted for something and then now they're regretting it because they see the effects of it directly.
Well, a lot of the people in Virginia were probably government workers, too.
Oh, yeah, because they're right next to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very close.
And Trump has said that he wants to build the Nazi arch in Virginia.
That is so insulting to
So-
the people that have died.
What's so weird to me
Imagine
is-
being killed by a Nazi and then having a Nazi arch put in your cemetery.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, Arlington is technically in Virginia.
yeah.
So, I mean, it baffles my mind how that happened. Like, if you're gonna see how the election goes first, why would you start tearing down the White House, start your Nazi arch, all this stuff, right before the election to see how well people think you're doing, you know?
Because he thinks that there's never going to be a consequence for him.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's a part of me that kind of hopes that he doesn't surrender in 2028, and that I kind of want to see the military drag his ass out, toss him on the front lawn. I'd love to see that.
I would
Have
say
Gavin Newsom standing over him.
2026. I would hope
Well,
it happens.
I mean, they may try to impeach him in 2026. The way I look at it, if they don't have the 60 votes to remove him from office, don't even bother.
Yeah.
All it does is just make them whine about more and
Like, oh, this is another trumped up
another
charge.
witch hunt.
Yeah. But the good news here is in the House of Virginia, Democrats have increased their majority now to 51 out of 60. They had a 51 majority before in a 100-seat House. Now they have a 64 majority. So come January 1st, that is going to be, really anything Democrats want to pass in Virginia can be done immediately with a Democrat House and a Democrat as governor. They can do a lot of good. Now let's see if they can actually do it, That's historically the problem I see with Democrats is like they say we're going to do everything and then they realize if we do everything that we said, then people have no reason to vote for us next year. So we can't do it yet. We have to just say, hey, we'll do that next time. Keep voting for us.
The problem is, I think Democrats don't realize. Well, I mean, the biggest problem, first off, is that Democrats, they can't serve two masters, and right now they're trying to serve the interests of the rich and they're trying to serve the interests of regular working people. And you can't do that because many times the rich and regular working people were at odds over things.
Yeah.
And, I do hope the Democrats kind of take a page from Mamdani, who we're going to talk about later. And I'm not saying that they should be, talking about rent control and stuff like that, but they should definitely be talking about affordability, the new word that Trump likes to use.
Thanks to Mamdani.
I mean, maybe he did turn it up. Mamdani did tell him to.
So next we want to talk about New Jersey and their governor race. Now, Mikey Sherrill was... How do you pronounce it? Because you're going to...
I don't know, but
I think it's Mikey
honestly,
Sherrill.
the name Mikey could not be more New Jersey.
Is it like a girl name?
No, but it's like a very...
That's
hey,
a very...
my name is Mikey,
Oh.
Sort of name.
So, Mikey was a helicopter pilot for the U.S. Navy, ran on a helicopter pilot platform, and co-sponsored 5 bills to help LGBTQ people gain equality. Her opponent, Jack Ciartarelli, I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm terrible with the name.
Let's say Shatterelli.
Sure. It doesn't really matter. He lost. Yeah. So...
we're not going to talk about him anymore.
Jack voted against same-sex marriage, LGBTQ curriculum in schools, and voted in favor of the federal Parents' Bill of Rights, which would have outed kids to their parents, even in dangerous situations. They always name these bills very oh, yay, this is something good, and then it's just terrible. So Mikey won 56.3% of the vote. 1.8 million people voted. Again, record numbers for what is normally a midterm election in New Jersey.
Is Mikey a man or woman?
Woman.
Maybe it's Mickey.
Maybe it's Mickey.
Is it Mickey? It's not spelled. It's Mikie.
I think it's... I've heard...
We probably should have...
I've heard her called Mikey, though.
Is it Mikey?
In interviews with her.
So, I do know that sometimes women are named Michael. Like, there's a woman from Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. It was a show from the 90s.
Wow, you're really showing your age.
Look, I grew up in the 90s. I don't know what to tell you. I'm old.
So did I. But
honestly, do you think this is...
No, every one of
this
those...
color's earned.
Every one of those has a little mat on them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So her opponent, Jack, got 43.2% of the vote. 1.3 million people voted for him. But again, it was record turnout. I'm so happy that we turned out for midterms because normally this is a lost election. I think a lot of Republicans saw this as, oh, they're always low numbers, doesn't really matter. And turns out the Democrats were the ones who were like, yes, this actually matters. Finally, it's getting through to Democrats that local elections matter most times more than the big ones for president. In the past 10 years, that hasn't been the case. But normally, you're not voting for your livelihood.
I mean, honestly, I really do wish that Democrats would vote more in these smaller elections because honestly, it's so much of what affects your day-to-day life is decided on the local and state level. I mean, federal laws, that can affect your life as well, but not as much as local. They're the people that decide to tear up your roads or not tear up your roads and just let them crumble, or they decide if a bridge is going to be rebuilt, and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that gets decided, and the only way that we're gonna make these not all MAGA people are awful, but the ones that are truly awful, the Nazi types, the only way we're going to get them to crawl back in their hole is if we continue to make them lose election after election after election. We need to make sure that there is a consequence for being a Nazi again.
Yeah. I will say on this, before we even get into how she won, what you were saying is, like, if you look at school boards, now, if you look at specifically where I used to live,
Place.
it is a terrible place. I luckily moved out. We went south, and we did not look back ever.
And surprisingly, that county went completely Republican during this.
It was the only election I've heard of that went Republican in every seat that was possible. I tried looking this up. I don't think there's any seats left in the entire county that I used to live in that are Democrat anymore. I think it's all Republican.
So that gives you an idea of just how bad this place is.
Yeah, and it was MAGA Republicans too.
Anytime I speak to somebody there, it's always a comment about how I'm gay, or something like that. It's never, it's never like any of the normal insults. Call me a communist or whatever. It's
Or
always,
we just disagree.
it's always like, oh, you and your boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, or something about dick size, which is weird.
Yeah, they focus a lot on dicks. Like, what is with these people? Why are they so goddamn weird?
I see, even when you're talking about like the trans issues and stuff, like, they will focus on genitalia so much. Of like, that there are genuinely some bills going through some states right now that want to force teachers to look at the genitalia of a kid before they enter a restroom, and I'm like, you're forcing pedophilia. That is what you're doing. You're putting it in writing that you want pedophilia to happen, and I don't understand how the party that's supposedly against it is trying to force it.
Yeah, anybody ever does that to my kid, they'll be picking their teeth up the floor. No, you're not doing that to my kid.
But what was so surprising was, like, yes, that's the one area that went Republican out of all this, and we're going to see, because you have a mayor and a city council in the main city in that county that have said they're going to raise taxes before winning. That they said, hey, we're going to raise taxes because we're in debt. We're going to also get a government grant that wasn't given from the state yet, but is earmarked for a certain project that no one actually wanted to happen. So we're going to take that money, and we're not going to do the project that the money's earmarked for.
And they're going to have to give it back in 10 years.
And you have the county. I think it's safe to say where I used to live, right?
Yeah.
Like, so Schuylkill County in Pennsylvania. Hello. It's weird. But the county government said that they're going to raise taxes on property taxes this past year because they're also in debt because of a man named George Halkovich, cost him millions of dollars from a sexual harassment claim, where he sexually harassed someone and then held a press conference for it. And then in the hallway of the press conference, he sexually harassed another girl and expected the cameras that were in the press conference not to go in the hallway and film him doing it. So then there was millions of dollars of lawsuits. There's also millions of dollars of lawsuits happening against Teresa Gaffney, who's a terrible homophobe who clerk of courts didn't want to issue marriage licenses to gay couples because she's not showing up 5 days a week to work. She's not showing up at all. She's just working from home and not signing anything, not doing anything.
Lazy work from home people.
But she's being paid and she's not doing anything.
I work from home.
At least you do something at home. She can't do her job from home. She has to be in person to sign it. An actual, like, marriage license. She has to sign it in person.
So, people of the Skook are basically paying for this woman to just sit at home watching television.
Yeah, and there's a lawsuit against her from the county.
Good.
So the county's paying for a lawyer for her, and county's paying for a lawyer for themselves to sue her. And then they wonder why they need money from taxes. Like, they're raising everybody's property taxes this year. And I don't get why, like, someone comes in and says, hey, I'm going to raise taxes. And you vote for them? Like,
To give you
that's
an idea,
weird.
this county has very serious issues with pollution. The water in certain towns is yellow. In some areas, it's contaminated with feces. The poverty levels in Schuylkill County are just, they're off the charts. I mean, the county we live in now, the median wage is double that of Schuylkill County. I mean, it's
No,
just...
I actually checked. This year, the reports came out were triple that old county.
My God.
So, because that county went down this year. So just to
And
give
it's
you
only
some
going to get
idea,
worse.
him and I'm not going to say what we make, but we currently make like 5 times the median household income for that old county. And I'm just like, we'd be gods there, you know? And we don't make like millions, so we shouldn't, you know? It's like, these are people living in dire poverty, living mainly in rented houses, and
There's cancer clusters everywhere.
there's cancer clusters. There's more hospitals than any other type of business. And
a lot of oncologists.
a lot of oncologists.
Because that's where they're going to make their money.
And I just don't get why you'd be like, let's go for more of the same and higher taxes while we're at it.
It's
know?
just, and the thing is, they'll blame Democrats.
Yeah.
Anything that happens. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do over the next, like, decade. Because they no longer have Democrats to blame. They do not have a single Democrat in office anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do.
Maybe there's a tax collector or something. But I'm not even sure about that. I think it's just all straight Republicans across
I mean,
the
they can
county.
blame the tax collector if they want. Not gonna really go too far
I
for
mean,
them.
to be fair, I blamed our tax collector for a while of just like, when I have to write that check, you know? But
Oh, I know.
no, like in my old county, I didn't like her at all. And I was like, oh, the profit you're making. And then I realized she's handing over like 99% of it to...
Yeah, but then you
Yeah.
see the alternative. We deal with the alternative.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I can't stand them.
Yeah, I'm not going to say who they are because they might be a sponsor. So...
And we don't want to call down the wrath of Satan upon us by mentioning their name. They're like Beetlejuice. You say their name 3 times, they appear.
But let's just say many of you also pay taxes into them. So...
If you've ever gotten an unfair tax delinquent notice that you already paid, you probably know who we're talking about.
Anyway. So in what are we talking about? New Jersey. Let's go back to that. Because from one shithole to... And so...
Hey.
No. Yeah, Mr. Nutter supposed to be very upset.
Yeah.
In October, Trump terminated a construction project for a river tunnel. It was a tunnel underneath the river between New York and New Jersey, leaving So just to give you some idea, they started this construction project with a government grant, and then once they started it, they're like currently underground, and then Trump's like, nope, no to this construction project. We're not paying a single penny more for it. So it left New Jersey state on the hook for $16 billion for this project that's currently started, so they can't just stop it, which is hilarious to me. Of like, you thought that stopping this project weeks before an election would work in your favor?
I mean, again, it comes down to just him thinking there's never going to be a consequence for him.
I mean,
And up until now, he's been right, because there hasn't really been that many consequences, have there?
well, he's currently being sued
Well, I mean, he's been sued how many friggin' times?
by do you know by who, though? Well, I mean, other than the typical...
Can we sue him for something? Just being annoying? Filling up my Facebook feed? Can we sue him?
So he's currently being sued by the construction company doing
As
the
he
White
should
House
be.
project.
What? I thought you were going to say the construction company for the tunnel.
No. They're still getting their money from somewhere.
Let me get this straight. He tore down the entire East Wing,
Uh-huh.
which FDR built.
Yeah.
The son of a bitch tore down the East Wing
Yeah.
that the greatest president in the history of the United States built, and that includes George Washington.
And
George Washington couldn't even wash FDR's balls. That's all I'm saying. Anyway,
see, the whole episode about FDR is going to be like
I love
hours just letting him ramble.
FDR. I love FDR. I could talk about that man for my entire life. We got to go to his house, and it was the most amazing thing
Went to his
I've
house
ever done.
twice.
Twice.
It was very, very nice. But, yeah, so he's currently being sued because they tore down the White House and they weren't paid for it. He didn't pay them a penny yet. And so he was supposed to pay a deposit, and then he was supposed to pay an amount after the demolition portion, because one company's doing the demolition and another company's doing the construction. The demolition company was supposed to be paid, and they haven't.
I would not have started construction until the check clears. I mean, honestly, the man has stiffed how many working people?
Yeah.
By not accepting, by not making him pay up front, you did it to yourself. I'm sorry, you did.
And just to give you some context, like, the demolition was costing more than the construction because they were doing it around Congress. Like, it's very illegal to tear down the White House, so without approval from many government agencies, and so they were the ones risking everything by destructing it, and so they were paid an awful lot of money as shut up and go away, kind of like, we're gonna pay you extra to do this illegally.
That's not shut up and go away money.
Yeah, we would know it.
Shut up and go away money is like $5,000.
But they were paid an awful lot of money to do this project because it was illegal, and they didn't have the permits. Apparently.
It's illegal.
Yeah, that's pretty much how Trump works. It's illegal. 56% of eligible New Jersey voters came out and voted, which is incredibly high. Higher turnout than any other midterms election since 1997. So that should give you some context of how mad New Jersey residents are. Also, an interesting fact I've learned is Mikey and Abigail used to be roommates in college in Washington, D.C., going to college together. So it's kind of cool that they were roommates, and now they won governorships on the same day.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
Then we have to talk about Mamdani. Ooh, Mamdani's a cool one to talk about. So, how did his campaign start? Let's go with that. Like,
I have no idea.
I mean, he started from without the DNC's support, right?
So, in fairness, I have not had a chance to prepare for any of this, so he's had all day. So, if he seems more knowledgeable, that's why.
Yeah, on this time. Once we get to FDR, then you're going to be the main host of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like, what is that? But the DNC really did not like Mamdani at all. They were putting their money behind Cuomo, wasn't it? In the primary.
In the primary, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why. So Cuomo, just to give you some context, was accused of sexual harassment like 12 times or something like that.
Yeah. A lot of times, way more than you could really believe was just somebody with an axe to grind.
And was disgraced so much he had to resign from his current position. And then the Democratic Party was like, let's go with him. Like, I don't understand why the DNC would have done that.
Because they are very terrified of anybody that is more liberal than Genghis Khan. I mean, honestly, that's what it really comes down to. The Democrats, not all Democrats, I should say the DNC.
Yeah, DNC.
They don't like anybody that shows any sort of spine, anybody that's willing to fight back against wealthy people, the corporations, anybody that's just not status quo. They don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
Look at what they did to Bernie Sanders,
Yeah, he was in line very much with voters, at least, and
I think we would not have Trump had they not, put their thumb on the scale for Hillary. I think we would not have Trump right now. I think we would have had a Bernie Sanders presidency.
Because Democrats would have came out to voted for him at least, instead of it was like, oh, anything but, like, for 10 years now it's been anything but Trump, like, and I'm just like, give us someone that we can be like, vote for them. And I think that's the reason Mamdani won, is because it was finally like, we're voting for someone instead of voting against someone else.
Right. And he gave young people something to vote for. I mean, if you look at young people, the world that they have to look forward to is a pretty crappy world. Like, they're going to struggle to own a house. I mean, we make good money, and
Yeah.
even we struggle to own our own home.
Yeah.
You know, that's they're gonna they're gonna have issues with employment. You know, they're gonna have these constant periods of up and down, up and down. There's just so much chaos, and you know, college is unaffordable. Food is becoming unaffordable. Rent is through the roof. I mean, unless you're willing to live in an absolute shithole, you're gonna be paying a lot of money,
Yeah.
especially in a city like New York. I've seen some closets in New York that are going for like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm talking just barely bigger than a walk-in closet.
I think that
with
was
a shared bathroom.
that was one of the main points in the debates that I watched, at least from Mamdani and Cuomo and Sliwa, where it was like they were talking about rent control and they were talking about rent being unaffordable, and Cuomo was just bragging about how he pays more than Mamdani in rent, and I'm just like, that's not a brag. Like, I don't understand how it's good to pay more money for something like rent. You know, like if you're paying more for something in general, I don't want to say that's terrible, because when I look at camera equipment, sometimes the more money you spend, the better equipment you get. But rent?
It's an absolutely tone-deaf thing to say when so many people are struggling right now, especially
Yeah.
with the government shutdown and everything. To be bragging about how much money you're making and how much, you know, how much your rent costs. It's stupid.
I think
And
that's the problem with the Republicans in general across the board here. The more I researched it, the more it was like, okay, so we have a government shutdown. We're not funding SNAP programs. And
although Trump just was told today that he has to fund the SNAP programs 100%.
yeah, so he has to. That doesn't mean he's going to. You know, like,
Throw his ass in jail.
like that's the thing. He keeps getting away with stuff. So like, whether it happens or not, it's gone back and forth. And so we've had all of this happen, and people are starving. We have school districts like Pottsville, honestly, where you know I went to high school there, and back in my day they didn't have free lunches, and back in my day it was like certain kids had like highlighter yellow card to be on food stamps, and it was like very much a shameful thing that, you know, your parents didn't do well, you know, like it was baffling to me how much they embarrassed the kids that didn't do well. Many times I would pay for lunch for my friend who didn't have as much, and I'm just like, you shouldn't have to have a kid doing that, you know. And so finally, with SNAP programs being defunded, that school district has said now, finally, hey, we're going to give out free breakfast and lunch to every kid, because we're not allowed to give it out just to certain kids. And, you know, the president has actually sued grocery stores and schools for giving better prices to those on food stamps right now, because, look, if a grocery store is willing to help out,
Let 'em.
sorry, you know, like, it's a private business. It should be allowed to say, we're going to help someone out and give them some free food, you know, or reduce cost food, you know, like, I don't understand that too much. Like, in a normal time, you don't want them paying extra. You don't want them paying less and then everyone else has to pay more. But in a time when we're in dire need, it's like a private business is saying, we want to offer reduced cost. I don't understand why that's not allowed.
So the law basically says that you're not allowed to charge different prices for people that are using SNAP benefits. Now, that's a good law, you know, and hear me out for a second, because the reason why it's a good law is you don't want stores. I could see some stores in Alabama saying, oh, well, you know, these people are getting free money, so we're just going to charge them more than regular people that are paying with their, you know, credit cards. You know, it stops them from doing that. So this is probably the first time in American history that a president has said, no, you can't charge less to these people.
Yeah, like the more argument I
He's
understand.
twisting the law.
The more argument I completely understand of, like, you don't want these businesses to scam the system. But the less argument I don't understand of, like, if I'm willing to offer you a discount, let me offer a discount. I don't genuinely, other than to hurt people.
It's
You know?
Stephen Miller. He likes to play these little games. He'll find these stupid ass obscure laws and he'll be like, hey, let me interpret this law in a way that we can do something awful with it.
And it's always like a decades-old law that no one ever heard of before.
Or older.
Oh, yeah.
They're using some laws from the founding of the country.
Oh, great.
200 years ago, they're using laws. Ridiculous.
But we're in a time of desperate need in our country overall. We just hit $38 trillion in debt, and then Trump throws a Great Gatsby party where it's lavish and, a little party never killed someone sign over the top of it, and you have the $350 million project at the White House. You have hundreds of millions of dollars going other places, and then you have billions going to Argentina. Like, look, I understand.
So much for America First.
Yeah, right. I understand Doge program, right? Of like, let's cut government waste in general. Because I think there is areas where government does spend money that it doesn't have to. For instance, this past election of let's vote on something we had to vote on in 2027. Like, just vote once. I don't understand the twice thing. Or, paying extra and certain offices saying, well, we have to spend that money by the end of the year. Otherwise, we won't get as much next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you need more money next year, come ask next year then, Like, if you have a surplus, great. Let's just have a surplus then, and pay down that debt a little bit. But we're in a time of dire need, and they're partying like it's nothing. And I think that tone deafness contributed to Mamdani especially coming out and saying, we have homes that are available. We have homeless. Why not put them in those homes? We have taxes that are incredibly high. We have rent incredibly high. Why can't we as a city buy in surplus and say, well, all these individual people, if they went out to buy solar panels, it would be millions of dollars. But if we as a city bought thousands of them, we can get a discount in bulk and then sell them at cost to all these different landlords. And that way we can have better, better prices across the board,
Right.
And like everything he stood for, I was like, oh man. He also wanted, like, a lot of people thought because he was Muslim, because he is Muslim, that he would be against LGBTQ rights, but he advocated for making New York City a sanctuary city, wants to create an LGBTQ commission in the mayor's office, and also said in his acceptance speech that he's going to protect trans people once he gets into his office away from the Trump administration. So massively supportive of that. I think he was just all around a good candidate. Even David Hogg was spending $300,000 on his campaign. And I think it shows, like, this is the future of the party, where you have AOC and Bernie endorsing him in Madison Square Garden. This is the future, and I think the one drawback is he's, Ugandan, so
Can't run for president.
he can't run for president. So, like, no matter how good you think he is right now, like, according to the Constitution, he can't run. So it's going to be, he's either going to be governor or something like that eventually, but
Although, hey, the law doesn't matter anymore, so.
I still say Obama should come back for a third term.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine?
Imagine if Trump runs
Obama?
a third term and Obama beats him. That would just, I don't think Trump would be able to handle that. I think he would just, his brain would just explode. He couldn't handle it.
Imagine a racist man losing to a black guy. That's so good. Although Michelle Obama has said, like, no, we're not doing this again.
I don't blame her.
She was very much, like, in support of him being president, but she was also like, my life dramatically changed being a first lady.
And probably not all for the better. There was probably a lot of bad things. I mean, I remember reading an article where she said that, people constantly commented about her body. They constantly commented about her hairstyle. And
her kids.
And her kids, yeah.
Like, we should not talk about Donald Trump's kid because he's too young, but we just spent the past 8 years criticizing the daughters of Obama, like.
And Biden. I mean, look at what they did to Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm. No, Hunter Biden wasn't perfect.
Not perfect, but I mean, honestly, his his failings did not need to be part of a congressional inquiry. His
No.
his nudes did not need to be displayed on a giant screen in the House of Representatives. Like, just
Yeah, it
disgusting.
It was more than what was required for the situation, definitely.
Local police could have handled that. They didn't need the House of Representatives and
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and other psychopaths to go after him.
But then we have in that race alone, it was Mamdani. I think showed us this is the future of the party. Give us something to vote for, and I think either the Gavin Newsoms of the world or Nancy Pelosi just dropped out of running again, but I think they've seen if we don't change the DNC, we're going to lose everything, And I think it's finally gotten through their thick skulls of the DNC that maybe David Hogg has an idea here, like.
I'd like to believe that, but I also know them well enough to know that they're gonna fight. They're gonna go down fighting.
That they're already kind of backing Kamala for.
Oh God, not again.
Yeah, like Kamala is like, oh, I'm not ruling out running again. And it's like, you should.
The American people ruled you out, Kamala.
Yeah. Like, they didn't believe in you enough against the worst possible person, so maybe it's time to just.
I mean, to think about it, like, regardless of how you feel about Hillary Clinton, her negatives were sky high.
Yeah.
The Democrats should have looked at that and said, okay, we like her, Democrats like her, but there's a lot of people that do not, including myself. And
it hurt voting.
It definitely hurt. And I had to sit there and, now, keep in mind, in fairness, at the time, I knew Trump was bad. I knew he was an idiot. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how bad, because this was the first time that, you'd really had to vote for him. And it took me a good 5 minutes to decide who to vote for. I really didn't want to vote for him or vote for her, especially after all the negative shit that she did to Bernie.
And not to mention the stuff that her husband did in office. It's like, are we going to have more of the same? Or are we going to have all those scandals over again? And then we ended up with Trump, where it was like, oh, scandal, what's that? That's every day. Any day that ends with a Y.
See, Matt knows this, but I grew up extremely poor, and much of my childhood was during the Clinton administration, and Clinton very much balanced the budget on the backs of poor people. He cut SNAP benefits and things like that, and it was just.
Was the debt at zero?
No, the debt wasn't at zero, but we had a balanced budget, and we were actually paying back some of the debt. So the debt was going down for a period of time, but he did that on the backs of the poor people, and I have a problem with that. That's it directly affected my life. It made it so that, to give you an idea, my mother was receiving SNAP benefits when I was a kid, and I was just a teenager, just working a part-time job, not making a whole lot of money. I was working at Long John Silver's, which you may not know, but it was a fish place. It sold like fried fish and everything. It was a disgusting job, but I did that job, and I worked a lot of hours, and I was only getting paid $5.15 an hour, to give you an idea of how long ago this was. And they had a problem with me working. And they made it SNAP benefits. The people there, they had a problem with me working, and they made my mother pay back all the SNAP benefits. And my mother didn't pay it back. I did, because all of the money that I was saving up to try to buy a car, to go to college, and things like that, I had to then use to pay back the government.
Because how dare a kid have a job?
Yeah. So thanks, Bill Clinton. You prick.
Just to give you an idea, when I went to college, I had a side job as well, and my dad was like, yeah, your money is your money. I don't care. Like, that's the difference between his mom and my dad. But I just think that, we would have had a difficult choice, but at the same time, the only reason anyone was voting for her was because it was Trump.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I picked her, because I didn't want Trump to get it. I mean, even back then, I knew he was an asshole.
Like, no one was voting for Hillary. It was just voting against Trump. And I feel
like the longer this goes on, the more I curse. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, like, that's fine. I mean, we're an hour in. But, I mean, the thing with Hillary was like they did a whole like $1 million report of what voters felt after that election, and I'm like, then we went into 2020, 2020 election, and it was like, oh, you didn't learn anything in that $1 million report, like, did you even read it? Like, and then you had Biden come in that said, I'm going to run as a one-term president, and
we all know how that worked out.
Then he decided to run anyway, and the DNC didn't say to him, you need to not run, otherwise we don't have a hope in hell of winning. So, Trump's going to run, and you said you were a one term. That's going to come back to bite you no matter what his health was, right? And I can't help but think, yeah, they were pretending his health was better than it actually was. But Trump's health also is not that good, and we didn't say anything. Look, we're just randomly...
For people listening on Spotify, I did not do anything. I did not cross my fingers or anything.
But I think it's been a lot. It's been mind-boggling over the past 10 years covering him in news. Michael can tell you behind the scenes, it's very hard sometimes to like cover what's happening this week. But I think for the average American, it's just maddening of like, how is this guy getting away with so much? And finally this election felt like a release, of, oh, thank God there's still sane people. Like, that's the way I felt about the No Kings protest too.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I'm not alone in how I feel,
That's why those protests are so important, because they make people realize that there are millions of us out there that do not like him.
Now, I don't think that they actually do much to side this. Like, it's not like Mike Johnson's going to say, oh, there's 8 million people out there protesting. Let's change everything about our party. That's not going to happen.
No.
It is going to get Democrats to say, hey, when we get into power, these people are still mad, and if we don't act, they're going to be mad at us.
There's a reason why elections keep swinging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, every single election.
But it was finally good it was good to see not only that 8 million people showed up for a protest around the world, which is bad. Like, you're a little bit older, politics a lot more. We've never had protests in other countries.
There were protests against George W. Bush in other countries, but he was also trying to drag all of NATO and parts of the UN into a war with Iraq.
So it directly affected those countries, though.
It did.
Like,
yeah.
And now we're protesting in other countries of just like, oh, we just feel bad for you people over there in America, which is so weird. Like, we're the richest country on earth, America first all the time. We're always said number one, and then it's like, we were supposed to be the land of hope and dreams, and people are feeling bad for us now. Like, that's what Trump got us to.
People may not believe this from the things I say and, how I kind of present myself sometimes, but I do actually love this country. I do think that there is no other country on the face of the planet that is like us, good and bad. We have a terrible history, though, and I think we've never really come to terms with that. And now you have people that are just trying to erase that history and just say, oh no, slavery had benefits, or, Nazis weren't that bad, or things like that. And it's
the Civil War wasn't about slavery.
Oh my God, my father says that. Oh.
It's baffling to like to say that something's better than what it was is one thing. To say that, oh, that never happened. Like, it's the Holocaust deniers of like,
yeah.
The Nazis saying, oh, well, Holocaust never happened. I was like, okay, so all the bad parts of your party didn't happen. So sure, you were only good, Like, I seem to think that we would have had a different country if we actually punished the Nazis or punished we talked about that in a recent episode about Nazis coming to America. There was no punishment. There was no punishment for Confederates after everything was over.
There should have been.
And it's like, yeah, I'm not really supportive of just burning your entire city to the ground, but also, like, you didn't learn your lesson either, so something should have happened.
I told somebody a while back that we should have sent General Sherman down to do Reconstruction, and somebody replied to me, they were like, yeah, that would have been called deconstruction.
So someone knew your joke.
Sherman did not like the Confederacy.
Yeah.
there's a if you want a little light evening reading, look up Sherman's March to the Sea. If you dislike the South, you will enjoy that. You will enjoy that reading.
But I think it's just funny to like see finally we're having that. I heard it described as a breath of fresh air after this election. For those outside of our country, you probably have seen things go poorly, 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 and then all of a sudden, like, now we're kind of happy. It's a moment to say we're finally breathing again. Of like, oh, we're not alone. People aren't just showing up outside protesting, but they're actually going into the voter booth and protesting where it matters. And finally, we have that calmness of things are the tide is turning. It's going to be interesting to see, and I hope people come out next year, 2026, and don't just say, well, things got better from last year. Like, no, they have to continue this way. But Mamdani was a big win.
Yeah.
And it was something Trump was getting involved with, of Trump endorsing Cuomo as if he didn't already endorse him. But then Cuomo was really happy about it. And I think the funniest part for me happened on Facebook, where Mamdani just shared the post of the Cuomo campaign. Cuomo was like, I'm so proud to accept the endorsement from Donald Trump. And then Mamdani just shared it outright. No comment at all, just shared it. And I'm like, how sad is it that an opponent is just sharing it? Of like, good job, Cuomo. You got the endorsement. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, great
like,
job.
That shows you the tone deafness of the right, of like, it was not a good endorsement to have. Someone even offered Curtis Sliwa $10 million to drop out of the race the weekend of. Someone. And suddenly $10 million just happened to come out of an account of Elon Musk. I wonder who that was. But even if you took Sliwa's votes, he polled at 7.1% in the end, and Andrew Cuomo polled at 41.6%. So even if you put them together, they would have 992,000 votes. Mamdani still got 1.036 million votes. So it wouldn't have done anything.
It might have been enough to get them within the margin of error, though, where they would be able to do a recount, and then they can play the little games with the ballots.
But it was really
you never
nice
want
to
to
see
recount.
That it was beyond that margin, and David Hogg is celebrating the win as he should be. There's a lot of I think it came out that every candidate that David Hogg picked and backed won. Every candidate that Trump endorsed, and you might not even know this, every candidate that the Moms for Liberty group, which is a far-right terrorist organization, every group they endorsed lost their election, even in the school board levels. So school boards have a lot more power than you think of controlling what your kids see and what your kids read. Moms for Liberty is a far-right terrorist group that wants kids to just be whitewashed history and no LGBTQ education at all, and they lost every election they were in, which is so good to see. So there's a lot more Democratic controlled school boards across the country now. Also, other races that we looked at were Downingtown, PA. How do you think that should be pronounced? Downington?
I'm going to say Downingtown.
Okay.
I don't know.
Like, he wants to go with the Downton Abbey thing. So the Pennsylvania elected its first openly transgender mayor, Democrat Erica Duso.
Let's say Deuso.
And then Netherlands also, another huge thing that happened. Fun fact, Netherlands, thanks to the research I'm doing for the, by the way, we're coming out with a 2026 LGBTQ calendar. It's going to include over 500 holidays. You really don't like this, but
it takes them a week to make it.
What's fun for me is researching it. The World Pride this year is going to be in the Netherlands, and it's kind of fitting that this year they elected their first openly gay prime minister, Rob Jetten. He is also the youngest prime minister in Netherlands history, and so congratulations to Netherlands. You're going to have your first openly gay prime minister going into World Pride later this year.
Is that how the name is pronounced? Are you sure it's not Yetten?
Maybe it's Yetten. It is Netherlands. So I am sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but congratulations anyway. You know? So what do you think this means for the future of the Democrats, at least? Or what do you think the future for Republicans is going to be for Trump?
Well,
hopefully short, right?
I do think that 2026 is going to be equally as brutal for Republicans.
If Democrats continue to show up.
It is all contingent upon you guys showing up. You know, we have to keep showing up. And honestly, I'm going to say we're going to have to keep showing up even when Trump's out of office. We have to keep doing it. We have to keep doing it, because if we don't, this is what we get.
Like, not only did he install a lot of people in a lot of positions, but it's showing that, yes, these local things matter. Because these are the judges that decide whether or not your vote gets thrown away for a little mark on it, you know? And I think that's really important to note, is like, a lot of Democrats are just like, who cares about that local judge, or who cares about that mayor? It's like, well, that person has a lot of power over whether your entire town gets voted and counted into the presidential election, or other things,
Or the census.
Or the census. And you know, your local, we went to a couple city council meetings recently for our city that we lived in. Yes, it's funny. It is like dinner and a show.
It really is.
There are a lot of funny things that happen, but at the same time, I realized going to them and watching them online, an incredible amount happens that you don't know about. And you're like, I sometimes just watch it for fun. Yes, because it's funny sometimes, and our friends who work in government might know what we're talking about here and be like, I don't know how we keep a straight face. I don't know how the lawyers in those meetings keep a straight face, because the county or the city always has like a lawyer there as like legal counsel. It's just funny. But other times you're like, oh, you're voting on whether you're going to close this street over the summer. And it's like, that's important stuff to know, and we should all have our voice heard about that. And how many times have we been in town where we hear things happening, and then people are in the comment section of a local news story and be like, oh, I had no idea. It's like, this all happens in your local council meeting, you know? Like, these things that you think are insignificant, it all happens locally.
If you want to see what it's like, you know, the craziness we're talking about, watch the first episode of Parks and Rec, and you'll get kind of an idea.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But, well, is there anything else you want to cover? Because it's pretty good blue wave that happened, and we were just so excited that we wanted to get on camera and be like, oh my God, we finally have a breath of fresh air here.
We were so excited, I was willing to let FDR wait a week.
Yeah, that should tell you how happy we are here in America. If you're from outside of the United States, please just bear with us for an episode here. I know it's a lot about local elections, but it's important stuff. And if you're from another country, vote in your local elections too, because it's not really any different anywhere else. It's like local stuff still matters no matter where you live.
And the extreme right is on the march in your countries too, so...
Yeah, there's a documentary out by PBS about Nazis in Germany again. So, yeah, they started up in Germany. Is
that even legal? I thought that was...
They're calling it something different.
Oh.
So...
Yeah, just like we call them something different too, Republicans.
Not all
I shouldn't
Republicans.
say that.
Okay.
MAGA
is Nazi.
I'm sorry. It's just... I apologize to the normal Republicans out there.
But I heard from our fans, like, it's so cool to, like, be one of the very few people in the world that gets to immediately hear feedback or whatever I'm talking about in an episode. Someone from Germany will comment and be like, by the way, that's happening, you know, or that's exactly what happened for Hitler. And I'm incredibly lucky for that audience in Germany, so thank you. But what was alarming is hearing from Germans that, oh no, they're starting back up again here too. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. You know, like, why aren't we just stomping them out entirely? Like, I don't know what we can do, but, you know, there's a good quote by Oscar Wilde on Nazis is all I will say. So go look that up.
I'm going to have to look that up because I don't know what it is either.
Yeah. The only good Nazi is a Nazi.
Poorly dressed?
No.
Ugh.
Dead.
I didn't know he wanted to dress Nazis. Ugh.
The only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. Hey. That's what Oscar Wilde used to say. So, anyway, we will leave you with that. So thank you to all the Democrats who showed up and voted. Thank you all to the Republicans who showed up and voted maybe against your party because you're upset about how things are happening. We are deeply, deeply sorry for all the people in Pottsville and Schuylkill County.
The normal people.
The normal people that actually have a brain. We're sorry for you to still live there. Please, think about what I did and just move south. Find a husband that lives far away and move. And you'll never look back. I mean, I sometimes go back just to visit, but every time I do, it's like, oh, yeah, that's our county. There's
and honestly, there's better restaurants
reminder.
Pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know how that county survives.
I pretty much only go back for the Pride event.
Yeah.
Like once a year. Because we love Michaela. But, and the director of that Pride event. But
Michaela's awesome.
But even the Pride event's going back to Pottsville this year. Instead of Schuylkill County Fairgrounds. So
really? Same spot?
I don't know if it's the same spot. She hasn't announced that yet. She just said it's going back to Pottsville, so I'm not exactly sure where, but we'll keep on the lookout for that information. And
Pottsville gave me a ticket the last time I came through there during the Pride event. I was pissed.
Because we were just starting to date then, and you would come to visit me, and you're like, I got a ticket on the way here. And I'm like, great, Pottsville cops are amazing.
I'm sure it had absolutely nothing to do with the gay pride bumper sticker on the back of my car.
Yeah, which is why we don't have that nowadays. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we will see you in the next Fireside Chat. We're hoping to post these once a month. And like I said, the next episode will be about Franklin D. Roosevelt and his entire life and how it really helped America with a New Deal and so much more. Most of the government programs that help people were started by FDR. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that the government doesn't do much because the government doesn't really brag about all the good things they do. So we'll talk about that in the next episode. We will see you then, and thank you for joining us today in this wonderful Fireside Chat with my beautiful husband, Michael Martin, and myself, Professor Pride. See you next time. Pee-pee. Not pee-pee. God, you have to end it that way.
It's a good nickname.
No, Professor Pride is a good nickname.
You're a gay man. You could be called Pee-pee. It's fine. It has multiple names.
Look, just because I like your pee-pee doesn't mean I should be called a pee-pee.
I also call him that because I call him Professor Pause. He constantly pauses any sort of show that we're watching. He'll be like, by the way, I have something to say about that.
Yeah, it's lovely to be.
And unfortunately, he's gotten me into the habit of doing it, so...
It's lovely to be just enjoying a TV show and, be called Professor Pause.
We're a nightmare on other people.
Not really. Because we don't go around many other people. We're a nightmare for the people that we do interact with.
Right.
And that's very few because we don't like many people. Which is okay. It's okay to not like a majority of the world. Because sometimes the world is mean. But we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Get everything you need to protest the felon-in-chief, including pocket guidebooks, hats, pins, stickers, and digital downloads at ProfessorPride.com. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click on this video to continue enjoying Powered by Rainbows.